In this video, I want to talk about a couple options in the create table statement that in my class we're not going to use very much, but I want you to be aware of them. And if you remember, I showed you the language syntax. And at the very end of a create table statement, there is an option for specifying the engine, and there's an option for the auto increment, being able to set that value. So what I want you to be aware of is that mySQL comes with several different kinds of storage engines, and basically a storage engine, it's, if you will, it's the kernel of the MySQL database management system, and different engines handle tables and transactions in different ways. And so each engine, and there's several different kinds, myISAM, NODB, memory merge, each one has different strengths and weaknesses. The default one currently is this one NODB, and that's the one that if you don't specify an engine, it's going to be that. It used to be this other version, but again, some are faster than others, and I suppose if you're a database expert, there's reasons to choose one engine over the other. In my class, we're good with the default, which is NODB. But the reason I want you to be aware of it, because again, out on the internet, you're going to be looking at create table statements, and at the very end you may see something like this, engine equal NODB kind of thing. And so that's just, you're able to specify a different kind of storage engines if you want, and each table can have a different engine. This particular website does a pretty good job of describing some of the strengths and weaknesses of the different engines, and I'll put a link in the description of my video. But again, we're going to stick with NODB because it is the only engine that deals with referential integrity constraint. And later in the course, we're going to be creating tables and joining them, and we want to use that constraint. So that's why we're going to use that engine, and thankfully it happens to be the default, so I don't need to specify it. All right, the other one is on auto increment. In our videos, we've been using this, and it just adds a sequence of numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you can specify, rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, that maybe you want it to start at 10 or 100. And so then it'll start at 100, 101, 102, 103. So for whatever reason, if you want to start your auto increment at a different spot, you can specify that after the closing parentheses. Some database management systems, for instance, SQL Server I know uses, rather than auto increment, the word that they use for that is called identity. And not only can you specify what number to start at, but then you put a comma and how do you want it to count by. So you can put 110, so it'll count by tens at that point. Or you can say start at 100 and count by 100 for whatever reason. With mySQL, all you can specify is where do you want it to start. Both of these commands happen, oops, I didn't mean to do that, happen after the parentheses. No comma or space in between them. You can put them on separate lines, that doesn't matter. But that's what that looks like, and just recognize mySQL has these various engines, and at some point there may be a reason to choose one over the other.